My name is Melissa Holland. I've been a therapeutic clown since 1999. The story I'm going to tell you today involves my partner, Marcello. Marcello is a lovely man who has dance training. He's very poetic, very imaginative, and as a clown, he likes to, every 3 steps or so, put in a little dance step, maybe a little word of poetry, sing a little song. And he's a delight to work with, and he's a man of experience. And so, as myself, Cherie Labelle, who is very naive and sweet and innocent, I like to call him my uncle, Uncle Marcello. And so on this day, we were visiting a seniors residence. We met with the head nurse to get a rundown of how things were doing on the unit and who the priorities should be. And at the last minute, she said, oh, and by the way, you should probably avoid, we'll call him Monsieur Tremblay. He's been very aggressive. Something set him off. He's been very aggressive with residents and with staff. So I would keep my distance if I were you. And we said, okay, thank you for that. And we went off and started to meet with people in the common area. And sure enough, there sitting in his wheelchair was Monsieur Tremblay in the doorway. And he fixed us with this stare that was full of hatred, of dislike. And we were used to seeing Monsieur Tremblay and having lovely visits with him where, he would talk about fishing or about his wife or compare how tall we were with each other. And he liked to throw in jokes here and there. And most of the people on this floor have some form of Alzheimer's or dementia. So something had set him off that day. And as he looked at us, I could see he was looking in particular at Uncle Marcello. And as we approached, but still keeping a safe distance, I said to him, "You don't like him, do you?" And he said, "Nope." I said, he's bothering you, isn't he?" "Yep." I said, "You'd kind of like to hit him, wouldn't you?" "Yep," he said with his eyes getting really big. And so I looked at Marcello and he looked at me and we had an exchange that we understood what was going to happen. And so in a safe way, using slapstick, we would try to see if some of the aggression could come out in this safe play. And so I went beside Monsieur Tremblay, keeping a safe distance still, and said, okay, on my count, we're gonna get him. And he pulled his hand back and we went 1, 2, 3. And we both made a motion to hit Marcello, who was still a safe distance, and he clapped his hands and fell back, and behind him was a table. And he flipped over the table and with his dance training landed perfectly safely on the other side. And Monsieur Tremblay had such a smile in the corner of his eye. Boy, was that satisfying. Except he quickly kind of had this look again that maybe that wasn't quite enough. And so I said, "Want to do it again?" And he said, "Yeah." And so we set ourselves up, 1, 2, 3, and we must have done it at least 10, 15 times. Thank you, Marcello. And finally, Monsieur Tremblay was like, "Okay, that's good." And he left and wheeled himself down the corridor. And Marcello and I went and visited with other residents. And then we got a tap on our shoulder from the head nurse. And she pointed down the hallway to Monsieur Tremblay, who was sitting in his wheelchair and happily snoring. And she said, "Thank you."